Hello, this is James Stevens of Jet Kinesiology. I would like to welcome you to Course 320, Guiding Others Through Self-Muscle Testing. And one of the first elements in guiding a person through the self-testing is finding out whether they are guided to be doing this testing in the first place. And in that sense, what we're going to be starting this course out with is what we call the screening appointment. And so the screening appointment is an appointment that is separate from the actual testing appointment, and we will go into the various elements for it. But first, what I would like to do is to be able to explain some of the benefits of having a separate screening appointment. The first of which is that if you think about it, the first time that we do many things, and for your prospects, this will be the first time that they will be pulling on the bar. The first time that we do that, it really is quite an awkward thing. It's something that we're not familiar with, and so generally, the first time that a person is pulling on the bar, they're not necessarily going to be doing that accurate of testing. The awkwardness shows up on two levels, both on the physical element as far as them being able to tune into what they need to tune into, and also on the mental level, because they're focusing on the physical aspect of it. Their mental aspect may not be as equally given the attention that it needs to get. But the second time around that they pick up that bar and pull on it, they're going to be much more accurate with it. And there's a couple of other factors as well. The other thing to understand is that they may not be a good fit for muscle testing. And in that case, you would not be a good solution for them. The other thing to keep in mind is that as a professional, you also need to find out whether people are a good fit for you. So what we need to do is we need to let the poor prospects weed themselves out. And it's especially noticeable if after going through this, the person says that they want to, oh yeah, I'll give it a try, because that is not a good client for you, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along. Because basically you want clients for life, not just for a nutrition testing session. And in order for them to be able to get the type of results that they need, they are definitely going to have to be committed to this at a deeper level. The other thing to keep in mind is that a person's attention and their focus dims after about 60 to 90 minutes. And when we're talking about self-muscle testing, that is bad news. So in your particular application, if it doesn't work to do 2 appointments, like let's say for instance that they've traveled 100 miles to come see you, then what I recommend is a 15 to 30 minute break in between. And key to this is that that break be separate from you. They need a chance to digest, to refresh, and to be in a different space. So if you are in a situation where you have to do both appointments at the same time or on the same day, be sure to get about a 30-minute break in between that. And sometimes it's helpful to remember Aesop's fables, the tortoise and the hare. The race goes to those with a steady pace. So rather than being driven to get to the testing as soon as possible, consider the value of laying a solid foundation instead of just jumping right into the testing. And when this solid foundation is laid, what this will do is it will smooth the path for you and your client in having a good long-term professional relationship. Now, I can say this from having trained many business students, such as yourself, that almost everyone at one time or another will try to compress it into one appointment. And you may get away with it, but you're just as easily to get bit by it because of these other aspects of it, okay? So that's what I wanted to introduce you to first, was the value and the benefit of having a separate screening appointment. And you'll be seeing this screening appointment as we go along. In fact, what I'd like to do right now is to introduce to you our model for today's session, Miss Jeannie Terval. If you could please have a seat. And thank you for being willing to help out in helping our beautiful students find out exactly how to go through a screening appointment. And so there are about 3 distinct steps in the screening appointment. The first step is what we call where you're introducing them to the concept of kinesiology and muscle testing, and specifically the application that you're going to be doing with them today in muscle testing, whether it's nutrition testing, whether it's testing for emotional release. What we're going to do first is we are going to give her the very necessary foundation of education and understanding, because we want to make sure that Jeannie is with us as we go along. And so the educational aspect of this, don't assume that people automatically know everything. In fact, I say that it is incumbent upon us as the professional to provide that education as a way of solidifying this foundation that makes them a long-term happy client and a great relationship for both of us, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what we're going to do first, Jeannie, is we're going to start with a kinesiology overview, and what I'm going to be working from is our handy-dandy renewable flip chart that you've gotten in your kit. And so first of all, I want to talk a little bit, Jeannie, about some of these wonderful authors. Dr. John Diamond, an MD, wrote a book. This is actually a classic kinesiology text. I would recommend it. It's a very easy read. It's user-friendly. It's a great price. You can pick it up on Amazon.com. Another great book is by Dr. Susan Levy. And this book is called Your Body Can Talk. And so there's great information in that as well. Kinesiology has been around for quite some time. Here is another doctor written another book on kinesiology called Test and Grow Healthy. Again, this is available at Amazon.com. So as you can see, there is a lot of information out there, not only on kinesiology, but on, in this case, since we're going to be focusing today on food and food supplement testing, how it is that blood type, which is just one of the factors in what makes you unique, and we will be going into the many other factors, how it makes the food and the food products that are important to you different from what it is for the next person, written by a great guy by the name of Dr. Peter J. D'Adamo. And another great book is called Truth versus Falsehood, in how muscle testing can help you define what is right for you and what is not, written by David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD. Okay, and a great book for some of our Christian followers is in discernment around whether or not muscle testing is an appropriate methodology to use, written by a minister by the name of John Huggett. So if that's of concern to you, you may be interested in picking up this book as well, okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead first, and what we're going to do is talk a little bit about what the issue is around food and food supplements and why it is that this testing becomes necessary. So the first thing we're going to look at is the question of why it is that we should supplement our food. And as you can see on this chart right here, there's a lot of reasons. There's a whole big kettle full of reasons as to why we should be supplementing. Basically, our food supply has been pretty significantly compromised in the last 100 years. And there are many, many reasons for this. Commercial fertilization, which although it replaces 3 of the major nutrients, many of the micronutrients have been missing from those soils for decades even, and your body is suffering as a result of that. Also, another issue is premature harvesting, which is very common these days for market to transport because we simply don't go from the garden to our table anymore, do we? And so when things are prematurely harvested, it causes a lack of nutrients in that